Welcome to PNR Show, Season 2, Episode 25, Double Brown Note.
I'd rather have lager than rye. I'll take the strong stout over stride. I prefer to confer with a half pint of ale than live a long life till my private parts fail. For a life without liquor is to no avail. So bring me lager for life. I'd rather have lager than rye.
You know, I had an intro worked up, but I have to ask, did you call it the Double Brown Note on purpose?
I did.
I did catch that.
It's in the title of the show. You can look down and see it.
Well, I mean, not everyone sees that, though.
Apparently.
For those of you who don't know, if you've not watched Mythbusters or know the urban legend, there is a legend of a brown note, a note of a frequency so low that it will literally cause you to poop yourself.
Yep.
Sweet.
So the fact that he called this the Double Brown Note just kind of caught me off guard. Keith and I share a brain, as it's often been noted. So
I make most of my show titles just to amuse you, Rob.
Welcome to the Pint of No Return Show, your one-stop shop for beer, brothers, and fun. We'd like to thank Poxy Boggers and Stu Venable of the same for the use of his song. You can find him on iTunes or at poxyboggers.com. We are live tonight on Alpha Geek Radio, Channel 3. You can find us, if you're listening to the podcast recorded, you can actually follow us live those Thursdays we choose to broadcast at tunein.alphageekradio.com. And again, as I said, we are on Channel 3. We have a website, it's pnrshow.com, and our email is pnrshow@gmail.com. If you want to reach us personally on the twits, Gary is at Always Breaking, Jeremy at Jeremy Brooks, Keith is at Wolfman K, and I'm at RebRob, R-E-B-R-O-B. We have a Google Plus chat room. Simply ask us for an invite using any one of those interactions, and we will get you in there, and you can have fun chatting with us. So, welcome to the show. We've been off for a little while, and I promised the guys before the show started that I would dispense with all the inanity, because they really just wanted to drink beer. So let's get to it. It's time to go, Keith, music, to the pint!
I wasn't ready for it to be that fast.
Oh, son of a bitch. ESPN, really?
Sports Center.
Okay. Tonight's beer is from the folks at the Mad River Brewing Company, way out there in California, right? Blue Lake, California.
Way north.
Yes, and we've got the Humboldt Brownie Double Brown Ale. To say this has been a tease for us is an understatement, because we've literally been ready to drink this beer for like 3 weeks in a row.
I know.
What we've got here is a brown ale, a double brown ale. Holy smokes. 9% alcohol by volume, and it's made with some cocoa nibs. So we'll be having some chocolate. And ladies and gentlemen, we've got a full pint. Now the challenge will be for all of us to drink this for the end of the show and watch what happens at the end.
Mm.
So tell us what
some of us may already have a beer in, or a cocktail in.
Go. I don't
right,
have.
Jeremy?
Yes.
This
Jeremy
beer,
drinks on the ferry.
This beer is part of their Artisan series. It's number 2 of 6. I don't think we've done any others from their Artisan series.
I don't think we've done the Mad River, have we?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So, my lovely wife, she's a great person, but she moved my bottle opener. So you want to tell us a little bit about a double brown ale, one of you guys, while I go and grab a replacement?
Yeah, this is I've had brown ale, of course, but a double brown is something new for me.
Yeah, Jeremy and I were talking about this before the show, and I don't think either one of us has ever seen a double in a brown, so this is going to be kind of interesting.
Yeah,
Looks like it's pretty,
we all kind of
malt
like a brown, but nobody loves a brown. So
no.
why not take something mediocre and double it, right?
An interesting hop selection, Cascade and Willamette, which are both very northwestern,
yeah, they're
citrusy, strong hops, but it doesn't have a lot of IBUs, so maybe they use these more for flavor than for. Oh, it says bittering hops for nugget. So this, I don't know. This is an interesting combination.
So the northeast hops or the northwest hops were just for nose, right?
Flavor and finishing. So Yeah.
All right, so we're expecting a heavy cocoa-y nose to it.
Yes, they use both chocolate malt and black patent malt, so it should have a little chocolatiness.
Chocolate and a bit
Yeah,
of coffee
there's
too.
definitely cocoa on the nose.
The website says this was released in March, so it's had a few months to do some conditioning in the bottle.
Well, and with a 9%, that's probably great. Seriously, they're hurting my ears.
It's a brown ale, so I brought the Chewbacca bottle over there.
Wow, this is really dark.
Yeah,
It is.
All right, here we
Oh,
go.
wow.
This
It's
is,
like a
this is-
stout.
yeah,
It
this
looks
is
stout.
like definitely stoutish and not brownish.
At least I
This
got a
is
bit
okay. So, folks, if you're not looking at it and pouring it live as we are, it's pouring like not even. I won't even say a root beer. It's pouring like an authentic root beer. Really, really thick, dark, chocolatey, carbonated, kind of very, very thin carbonation on the top. The head just kind of soapy back and forth.
It does have a pretty rich chocolatey smell to it as well.
Yeah. Little
Nice.
coffee too. Little coffee.
Yeah, little coffee, little chocolate. I mean, the description that they have on the
Something
website
is more of a
kinda nails it.
dark chocolate than a coffee.
Well, let's find out how it
All
tastes.
right, let's do it. Not too bad, guys. 5 minutes in, here's the beer.
Yeah.
Prost.
We're getting better at this.
Ooh.
Wow. That'll fill you up.
Oh, wow.
God, that drink's like a heavy stout in the middle.
I was
of
going to
winter.
say it would taste like an oatmeal stout.
Yeah. It's got the coffee really comes through as a strong aftertaste for me.
I'm getting really sweet aftertaste.
Very sweet.
Yeah, it's almost got kind of like a sticky mouthfeel, kind of like a barrel-aged stout would have, kind of that kind of mouthfeel a little bit.
And very kind of yeasty, bready flavors in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of yeast undertones on this.
That is, which I'm not always a fan of yeasty flavors in a beer, but with the dark, rich backbone that this has, I think it works really well. Almost like a really dark pumpernickel rye that you can taste the. I don't know. This is good. I like it.
This would be excellent with a pumpkin pie. I hate
That would work.
You know what? I'm gonna
Or an
say,
actual brownie.
Um,
Or a brownie, a Humboldt brownie.
I was
I
gonna
think
go
the kind
with
of brownie they have it
with
with
pecan pie myself, but yeah,
what, pecan?
yeah, definitely a pecan pie.
Or like a dark chocolate tort.
I don't know. That might be a little too much chocolatey for me because this beer has got that kind of richness to it. I would think the pecan pie or pumpkin pie would kind of mellow that out a little bit.
That breadiness that it has, that feeling when you drink it that you should kind of almost round your mouth to taste it. And the chocolatey nibs, the dark chocolatey cocoa nibs that it's got in it, it does in some ways with that sweetness maybe really a little bit resemble a dark chocolate brownie.
Yeah. So.
If you would use if in the dark chocolate brownie you used like mocha chips instead of regular chocolate chips, because to me it really does have kind of a coffee.
Yeah, definitely more on the tongue than the nose.
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely got like a bitter coffee kind of aftertaste.
So this has got it's got no score on Beer Advocate, which isn't surprising because it's a limited release beer that came out maybe for the first time this last March. So
And I suspect it has a very small distribution.
yeah, and
I've
Mad
seen
River
it down
Brewing has
here.
got they're definitely a micro brew type of operation as opposed to some of the other breweries. So, but anyway, I'll go first. This is really good beer. I mean, brown ales aren't something that we have a lot of these days, and it's not something you see on the market a lot of these days. I mean, the market tends to be dominated by the IPAs and those kinds of things. But this is good. I mean, they did a really good job with a style of beer that is not very popular. But I think that if a lot of people were to try this, they would really enjoy it. It's definitely more of a beer I would want to drink in October as opposed to March.
Oh yeah.
It feels like a fall beer. So it's good that it was like 95 degrees this week here in Petaluma to make it feel like fall, so I could have this beer. So yeah, it's a very rich beer. It's a very filling beer, and it's got a lot of alcohol, but you don't actually taste it. At 9%, I would expect to have a little bit of that alcohol flavor in it, but
Yeah, no, it's not really boozy, is it?
no, it's they did a good job of blending the other flavors in there to kind of compensate for that. So I'm going to give this an 8.
Okay. All right, I'll take it next. It's an interesting beer. There's a lot going on in it. I will disagree with Gary on one thing, and that is tasting the alcohol. I definitely do. I think I'm more sensitive to that though, because these guys, the other three, are used to heavier alcoholic content beers.
Are you saying we drink a lot?
No. I would not say that. I'm just saying you're used to the darker, more heavily alcohol-filled beers than I
We
am.
tend to drink doubles and triples way more than Rob.
Yeah.
What do you
So
say?
I definitely notice it. That having been said, it's enjoyable. I don't like coffee taste in my beer. I really don't, because I don't like coffee. But I will say that the roundness, the bit of sweetness, the chocolate that's in there, it's got kind of an interesting little flavor journey that it takes you on, and it does, like I said, resemble in some ways the taste of a brownie. So it's kind of fun. I'm going to give this a 7. It's good. It's not something I particularly would choose to have, but it's interesting. It's a great beer, I would say, if you're going to do a beer tasting party. Really, that'd be a fun one to try. And definitely for a cold weather month. I mean, whether it's November or March doesn't matter to me. It's a cold weather beer for sure. So I will give it a 7.
All right.
Yeah, I agree on the cold weather beer. It's perfect for. It's actually a little bit cooler today and foggy, so it's a good beer for the day. And a good dessert beer. It's a little bit like a stout, but not quite.
Mm-hmm.
But tending more towards stout than a brown ale. Maybe because it's a double, they
For
well they
sure.
have to up the malt for that, right?
Yeah, they must have upped the sugars big time to make this thing up to 9%.
So really good malt backbone, bready, yeasty flavors which complement the beer really well. And I'm getting a sweet finish, not too much bitterness, a little coffee, a little alcohol, but it's a really nice beer. I'm going to give it an 8.
Yeah. I think this is one of those that if you were doing a stout tasting and you slip this in there, people wouldn't think twice about it.
It would fit right in.
Yeah, it would fit right in.
This beer is big. It is sticky.
That's what she
It
said.
Tastes of burnt brown sugar. And I would drink this all winter if I could. This is an 8. And being that it almost gets an extra point for me for being 9%. So you could asterisk 9 this for me, but it's definitely an 8. It's really for how big it is, and for what it's trying to do, it's ridiculously well balanced.
They did balance it.
Yeah, they worked on this. You can tell that this was not their first attempt at this, and I bet the first few attempts at this really sucked. Because you can kind of taste that this thing has been developed, year after year as they try to bring out this seasonal. And somebody says throws it back every year, but it made it this year, and I'm glad of it. And I'm a little sad that we probably will never ever see it again since it's such a small brewery way out west. Because I seriously would put like 6 of these in the fridge and just have one a week all winter long.
Yeah, not unless Gary or I make the trek up there.
I might actually get Mad River around these parts because we're not
do you?
that far. I mean, we're far, but not not like New York or Texas far.
Yeah, it's worth keeping an eye out for.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I would say if you saw this locally, man, just grab some.
the average rating on Untapped is a 3.8, which is
So that
they're 5-star ratings, so that's close. And ours was average 7.75, so we're right in line. But their check-ins are only at just under 800, so this is not a widely known beer, and a lot of people haven't been sampling this one. And like I said, Beer Advocate is waiting for at least 10 reviews to come in on this before they actually give it a score. So we've got something of a rarity here tonight.
That's always fun. I think that speaks less to the rarity of the beer, though, and more of the diving popularity of Beer Advocate.
That could be too, but even less than 800 check-ins on Untapped is also telling.
Yeah, it's pretty low. Pretty low.
I haven't seen a beer that didn't have at least 1,000 check-ins. I don't think ever. So it's good. Good job, Jeremy. Nice pick.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sending it.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Well, having said that, as we continue to enjoy our brownies, let's chat a little bit in a little segment that we like to call Pint Taken.
Oh, crap, I'm so off tonight. Here we go. We're going to hit the random button. Ah, yeah.
Oh, little mockingbird or mockingjay.
Listen, I love me some Hunger Games.
Love the books.
Jeremy had no idea what that was.
I love them. I love the movies too.
The movies really left me wanting.
Nah, you're gone. You're wrong.
Nope, no idea.
Jennifer Lawrence is easy on the eyes, as they say.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't make the movie good.
All right, so guys, if you don't mind, I'm going to switch up the order here tonight because we did just get finished talking about beer. So let's actually talk about our one beer topic for the evening. And it's in the financial news, the financial sector. And 2 days ago, if you're listening, we're recording on October 15th. So a couple of days ago, we had one of the largest acquisitions approved ever, and the largest ever in the beer world. We've got Anheuser-Busch InBev, our lovely mass-producing folks at InBev that Gary, Keith, and Jeremy love so much. They have agreed to buy their main rival, SAB Miller, or you know them here in the States as Miller Beer, for $104 billion with a B dollars, which would create a super company that would sell upwards of $55 billion of beer a year. God, this world is full of drunks. The combined firm will, and I'm reading off of the CNN website now, the combined firm will be the world's largest beer maker by far with almost 50% of the world's top 20 beers. What we've got is just a huge...
By volume, not by taste.
Yeah,
by volume. Sorry, by volume. Excuse me. They're paying roughly 50% over the stock's trading price, $67.59 per share. So if you had big-time stock in SAB Miller, you got paid. Now the reasoning behind this is that they say on the surface that they want to be able to provide great tasting beer to the masses, and this is a unique opportunity, blah, blah, blah. But the real cause of this is craft brewing, which has taken about 10% of the market. So they're really trying to push out, as it were, the little guy that is getting all the publicity and quite a bit of the sales. So, gentlemen, I toss it to you. What do you think about this new merger?
I think our Twitter account says it best. Experts say that they will still be unable to brew a decent beer.
Yep. Yay, our Twitter account rules.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. I mean, this is Anheuser-Busch, InBev, Miller, Coors, these large conglomerate companies. being that they're publicly owned and traded on stock markets, have to constantly show growth. And one way to show growth is through acquisitions, because they know that they are not going to organically grow their market share based on their products, because their products aren't that good. They just happen to be wildly popular, and they came out of an era where people didn't have any other choice. I mean, when we were growing up, there were choices in beers, but really there wasn't the choices that we have now. No. So this is a reaction to a changing market and them realizing that they're kind of screwed, and that 10 or 15 or 20 years, the market dominance of these kind of breweries is just not going to be there, and it may be a very dispersed, diffuse market, much like the wine industry. I mean, Ernest and Julio Gallo owned the wine industry at a national level in the U.S. for a long time because they were a huge company. But as people started to appreciate wine more, that their market share shrunk, and they started buying up these small boutique wineries. And if you look at the wine industry, there's not one huge dominant player. Yeah, there are a few that are, big and popular and those kinds of things, but for the most part, it's a lot of really small companies making up the vast majority of the sales in the wine industry. And I think the craft beer market's going to go that way as well. That people are going to like to go to the small local breweries, and wherever you happen to be at the time is you're going to drink the local beer. You're not going to go out and buy InBev or Miller or those other things.
Which is the way it used to be, long before Prohibition. Beer was a local thing, like wine.
There was always a local beer.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that maybe it might take like 10 years, but looking back at this, it will look like a really stupid move on InBev's part, because they will have spent all this money for nothing. That's what it's going to end up as.
I don't know. To own the rest of the non-craft market, as well as a nice portfolio of craft beers.
Yeah,
already have, and Miller already has. It's not a bad thing. I mean, they're playing in both markets. That's the thing we forget, is they own a bunch of what most people consider craft beers.
Right. Look. I completely agree with Keith. Look at it this way. You guys and folks who really like craft beers, we're never going to buy Bud Light, Budweiser, or Miller Lite anyway. But what a company like this, and I'm not advocating for it one way or the other, but what I am saying is a company like this, in this size, can bring craft beers that it does specialize in to markets that it didn't before, and expose folks to other beers that they never would have had a chance. Like, there's a ton of beers in California that you guys have sent to us. There are a ton of beers here in Texas, or a ton of beers in New York that we wouldn't be able to find or drink if we didn't send them to each other. Right. So some of these companies are buying up these other smaller companies within these umbrellas or conglomerates, and they have stakes in California or Texas or New York, and suddenly you may start seeing these beers become available in your local beer store. And so that, in a sense, I don't think is a bad thing. I don't think, by the way, it's going to push craft brewing out by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it's not.
I think that has taken hold and will be a strength for a long time to come.
No, this is not going to impact craft brewing.
I don't think so. There's articles out there that's saying it's going to be horrible for craft brewing. I really don't think it's going to come to that. I think, if anything, it's a statement on how powerful craft brewing is, as well as, it's a method for some craft beers that happen to sell out, maybe is the word, to get broader market share very, very, very quickly. Because
that's more of a threat to craft beer, is the buyouts that are happening.
Yeah, that's what scares me more than this.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to because what comes along with this is the distribution channels, and distribution channels for craft brewing just disappeared by one. Because
right.
Yeah,
they have
now AB InBev, Miller, Coors owns that much more of the distribution channel.
Yeah.
But some of those smaller craft brews that they do produce and do put out there, like I said, will be available in other locations and might be available for a little bit cheaper than they were before. And listen, you talked about forcing buyouts and stuff like that. Nobody forces a buyout. A craft brew either decides to be bought out or they keep doing what they're doing. So,
Well, assuming that they're just making money and happy doing it, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
But not everybody is that lucky.
No.
and not lucky in what way?
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily easy to just run a business and start a brewery and make money at it. You can make the best product in the world and not make money doing it. And
Granted, absolutely.
that's one of the reasons to sell out is so that you can get the scale that you need to make the money. Because you maybe couldn't do it on your own.
Yeah.
Right? But is that a bad thing? If there's a beer out there that InBev Miller buys that we would never have seen before and is able to bring it to us, is that a bad thing?
It's a bad thing if Miller, Coors, InBev, Budweiser, or whatever, buys it, puts it on the market, it doesn't meet their standards for sales movement, and then kills it in a year. What's the difference then if the guy went under anyway?
Yeah, there are cases where Miller
That-
Coors has done that.
Definitely happens. Oh yeah.
That's what worries me. But you know what? There's so many craft breweries. That void in the market will be filled by something else.
Oh yeah. In fact, some people are saying there's too many small local craft breweries right now.
I actually don't think so. I don't
think so either. I don't think that's even a possibility.
None of the craft breweries I've gone into recently have been short on people.
Yeah.
No. I mean, again, I'm going to compare it to the wine industry. You go to anywhere, I mean, with it, Napa Valley, Sonoma Valley, Alexander Valley, Russian River Valley, all these places around where I live, and there are hundreds of wineries. And they're successful and they're making money.
Yeah.
So
more
I
to
think
come.
there's a lot of room.
We will see how InBev Miller impacts the market, and when we hear something, we will bring it to you, our loyal listeners. But moving on, who's thirsty? Who wants some water? Because if you do, just head on over to Mars or Pluto, and you got yourself some water. Now,
Wow, that was the best segue ever.
How about it?
No one.
Nice job.
I thought that was pretty good.
That segue was as smooth as a Humboldt brownie.
Thank you very much. All right, so we're a bit late to the party in terms of our broadcasting, but you know the headlines. A week ago, we got word that scientists, astronomers, physicists, whomever you want to call to the table, have declared that there is, in fact, water on Mars. And whoever said that discoveries don't happen exponentially wasn't listening, because not 3 or 4 days later, we have new word from NASA with their probe that has just been passing and sending back amazing, I don't know if you've seen these, but amazing pictures of Pluto. There is, in fact, water ice on Pluto. So confirmation of water on 2 planets of our solar system. Yes, I consider Pluto to be a planet. I don't care what Neil deGrasse Tyson says. It's a planet.
You think Bud is a beer, so it's...
Yeah. I don't think I'm going on a limb and saying this, although I know some people will disagree. That all but guarantees that at one point in time, there was life on both Mars and Pluto. Because Pluto did not start off 3 trillion miles away from the sun. It got there eventually over billions of years. So at one point, it was far enough from the sun it could support life, and maybe still supporting life under the surface. So to have those 2 discoveries within a week, I think is pretty stunning. What do you guys say?
I think that 9% has done you some favors.
No,
What do you mean?
because like you said in the show notes, where is it? I got to get this quote just right here. Rob's tears of joy and excitement over this announcement produced more water than there is on Mars.
That is complete horse crap.
Oh, come on, you were so excited. It was fun.
I'm very excited. Are you kidding me? This is a
was
guarantee, basically all but a guarantee that life does exist on other planets. It's the eternal question of are we alone in the universe? And it may be one gigantic step closer to being answered, yeah, no, we are not alone. You know, this 9% is it's pretty good.
That was awesome. You know what? We're not alone on the universe, and finding a couple of shot glasses full of water on Mars or Pluto doesn't prove that we're not alone in the universe. But nevertheless, it's pretty cool that they're able to figure this stuff out, considering how far away those planets are.
Well, a secondary byproduct of this discovery is that if we continue the way we're going and we can actually find water in mass quantities on Mars, we're a huge step closer to being able to visit Mars, because that means that's a bunch of stuff that we don't have to take there.
And more importantly, a huge step closer to being able to brew beer on Mars.
Well, for sure. You know that
No, you're making the trip worthwhile.
brewing beer on Mars would be near an impossibility in that atmosphere.
Nope, got to be done. Has to be done.
Yep.
Progress, humanity, and also, come on, a red ale from Mars. Mars red ale.
Come on. The marketing writes itself.
You know it's gonna. You know who's gonna brew it. You know who's gonna brew it though is InBev Miller, because they'll send an expedition to Mars with that.
You know
money.
what? I don't care if it tastes like horse piss. I will drink Martian beer.
All right. Well, their jokes aside, I think that it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Anything that we discover about the planets in our solar system is cool. It's awesome.
How about the planets outside our solar system, Jeremy? How's that for another segue?
How about that one that the Daily Mail reports has a Dyson sphere?
All right. So the link I gave the guys comes from the Daily Mail, which is, granted, not the most, let's say, trustworthy website,
not the most,
but
journalistic integrity.
Yeah, but this particular website is quoting other articles and is quoting scientists. It's not positing their own information. So back off of that.
Well,
what
there's
we've
also
got here.
there's a
What we've got here. Let me
says Rob.
let me set up the article for you, and then you can chat about it. There's been a star out there 1,480 light years away called KIC 8462852, and if you dial that number, tell them we said hello. We've been watching that for about 6 years, with the Kepler Space Telescope since 2009. And I did it. What they have noticed is that there are strange fluctuations in the light coming from that star. Fluctuations that they've never seen before in any other star. Now, there are things that fly in front of stars all the time. Asteroids, planets, comets, dust even, that can sometimes change the light that we see coming from other stars. But this fluctuates kind of regularly in a weird way. So it could be any number of things. But one of the things that has been proposed is that it is a Dyson sphere. And if you don't know what a Dyson sphere, there was a physicist called Freeman Dyson in 1960 who said that an alien species could literally build a sphere around a star to harness all of its energy.
Does it also vacuum dust really well?
Yes, exactly.
You wouldn't believe how well it picks up pet hair.
Anyway, the Dyson sphere would probably have gaps in it, so that it wouldn't collect all the energy, but would collect a lot of it, giving that civilization literally unlimited energy. Good, there you go. So what they're saying is the possibility that what you're seeing is these
Or the
panels.
plot to Star Trek 3.
Hold on. The panels. I know you're gonna shit this thing to death. So let me just finish. The panels are passing before the star, between us and the star, and those are the fluctuations that we see. That's a possible theory.
I love
Gentlemen.
that phrase.
What?
There's
Shit in the dust.
there's a gentleman in Hermitage, Pennsylvania, that would probably agree with this theory. He's Mr. Brown. He is 78 years old. He has wrapped his house in aluminum foil, and he uses spotlights to keep the aliens away.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's a possible theoretical explanation of it, but come on.
How much aluminum
that's
foil does it
ridiculous.
take to wrap a house?
He didn't wrap his entire house, but it's a pretty good portion of it. It's impressive. It'll be in the show notes.
I think we should
I don't
probably
know. This
kickstart
is-
the rest of his house for him.
This Dyson sphere around a star, possible. Yeah, possible, but it's probably one of the least likely theories.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a
Well,
it's like
I mean,
a lottery ticket chance.
Well, it ends
But-
up on the
but
Daily
the-
Mail.
The,
Oh.
the
No, no,
fact
no.
that
That's
that-
just where I
that
pulled
there's
the
alien
article from.
life-
It's been all over the internet, so shut up about the Daily Mail.
the fact that there's alien life out there and we're gonna find it at all is a 1 in a million lottery ticket.
Absolutely.
So why not make it some ancient but super advanced civilization that managed to come up with the Dyson sphere? Why not? What difference does it make if we find cellular level life on Mars versus super advanced but long gone civilization that remnants of a Dyson sphere float around a star much like our Parthenon?
Okay. So yeah,
I mean, come on.
Okay.
Why not?
If
So
it's a lower life form, we can still exploit it. If they're more advanced than us, then we're going to be exploited. That's really the
Well, but
difference.
they're long gone, so we can now just go in and study them and get all their technology and leapfrog.
Okay.
It's a planet.
so
Sneaky.
what the physicists and the astrophysicists are planning to do, they have put together a proposal to use a more high-intensity telescope to examine these intermittent changes in the light, because something is passing before or in between the telescope and that star. So what they're going to use is a higher intensity telescope to examine any infrared radiation, which is heat, coming from those things. And that may give us a clue as to what exactly it is. Giant asteroids, comets,
Infrared
whatever.
radiation was what turned my TV on.
Yes.
In fact, didn't that trio you had an infrared link on it?
Yes.
Come on. That was the cool and hip way to exchange contact back in the day.
That was pretty cool. Can you? Our iPhones don't do that. That was
No,
awesome.
they don't. They don't.
That was. I don't know why that has not been built into these to iPhones.
Have you heard of AirDrop?
Because Wi-Fi works better.
Yeah.
I
AirDrop,
have-
Bluetooth, all those things.
I don't know. I've drank
Anyway.
9% alcohol beer. Anyway, so it's an interesting article. We'll see where they get with their proposal. I think it's actually cool, no matter what it is. I think it's actually cool that every day when they look out at the stars and look at different planetary bodies or whatever, that they're finding something that they've never seen before, which I think is the coolest thing. To explain more about how we got here, how everything else got there, and more about science and life and
Science
everything.
is
So I think
cool.
it's pretty cool. So there you have it.
Science brought us beer on some level, so yeah, science is cool.
Hell yeah. Chemistry. Beer is born of chemistry before
You
there
know,
was
you know
chemistry.
who else used science a lot?
Go ahead, do it, Jeremy. You're gonna
Bond.
segue it. Yes. So we have got. I literally cannot wait for Spectre, the new James Bond movie, to come out in November. Cannot wait. And Daniel Craig, who is everyone's favorite Bond, at least he's mine. I know he's not Keith's, but everyone else's favorite Bond.
He's a good
Or at
Bond,
least
though.
a lot of good people's Bond.
He's the
Um,
best Bond.
He's a good Bond. He's not
He's
the best.
already-
He's a good Bond.
He's already out starting to do press for the movie. It's coming in a few weeks. And his press has been a little lukewarm, to say the least. He was interviewed by a newspaper about continuing as James Bond in future movies. By the way, his contract runs out after Spectre. He's asked if he would like to continue as James Bond, and Daniel Craig said he'd rather slash his wrists than play James Bond again.
That was a negotiation tactic, clearly.
It could be, but he's been saying it enough and strongly enough that Sony executives, and this is not even a rumor, this happened, basically called up Daniel Craig and told him to shut the F up. Now, Daniel Craig, to his credit for saying this, he's been injured in most Bond movies that he's been in, but he was injured quite severely during making of Spectre and had to have knee surgery. And reshoots on the movie were ongoing right up until last month. So he's literally been making this film for 2 years and been injured quite a bit while doing it. He said he would rather break a glass and slash his wrists than do another Bond film, adding all he wants to do is move on. So, guys, 2 questions. 1, do you blame him, or what's your reaction to what he said? And 2, if he is done playing James Bond, let's assume this isn't a negotiation tactic. If he is done playing James Bond, who would you like to see step behind the Walther PPK?
The fact that how many Bond films has he done?
He's done 3. This is his 3rd.
This is his 3rd. And
no, I'm sorry. I apologize. No, I'm wrong. This is his 4th.
His 4th. Right. That's what I thought. And he's and that puts him about on par with the average Bond actor. So I think it's time for him to move on. It's not a big deal. I mean, if you don't want to be typecast as a secret agent, then 3 or 4 films is about your max.
He's getting good. I mean, he's 47 too.
He
47.
definitely doesn't need to be being so dramatic about leaving the franchise. That's probably a mistake on his part.
I would say he doesn't have to be so pissy about it.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, it's about time for him to go. I'm ready for a new one.
I'm going to do something kind of out of character and demonstrate a little bit of pop culture knowledge.
No, don't do it, Jeremy.
Come on.
This could be scary.
Well, preface this with a get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn, kids!
So Daniel Radcliffe would not be a terrible Bond.
Oh my God.
Harry Potter to Bond. You know what?
Go back inside, Jeremy. Go back inside.
Forget all of the Harry Potter stuff.
That will never happen.
Yeah, no, it absolutely.
No, it probably won't.
He could pull it off. You buzz cut him.
He looks
that damn bowl cut.
He looks incredibly British.
And I'd rather see Rupert Grint. He looks incredibly British. I wonder why that is.
Rupert Grint would also make a great Bond.
Heck, the kid that played Neville Longbottom could be a better Bond. You see that guy now?
Neville
He's
is the actual hero of the Harry Potter movies.
Yes, I agree.
So,
of the kids, I say that Severus Snape is the true hero of Harry Potter.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be a good Bond.
Nobody likes Snape.
Well, he's a little old too. So, Gary, who would you like to see as Bond if Daniel Craig is done?
Does it have to be somebody who's British?
Not if you don't want to. You pick anybody.
Well, I mean, the British actors are playing all the American roles and all the superheroes.
Absolutely.
So what the hell, man? I mean, make an American to pick up a bad British accent and go.
That being said, there will be an international outcry if an American plays James Bond. But that having been said, you can pick anybody who you want.
Yeah, go for it, man.
I mean, if you were doing somebody, from the UK, Rupert Grint was my choice.
Really?
Who Ron Weasley for Jeremy, who may know the character but not the actor. That was actually who I thought of. Daniel Radcliffe actually crossed my mind as a joke because he's far too short to play James Bond.
Yes, absolutely.
But in all likelihood, it's going to be Ryan Gosling, which whatever.
No, what?
No.
Wow.
No, it's definitely not going to be Ryan Gosling. It'll be one of the Chris's. We have so many famous Chris's, and they could all pull it off right now.
Yeah.
That'd be Chris Pine, or Chris Evans, or Chris O'Donnell.
Hemsworth.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many great Chris's out there right
Australian, but that's
I guarantee.
Australian, British, they're the same.
Yeah, to America and the rest of the world, it doesn't fucking matter.
Okay, so
There goes our
Keith,
PG-13.
who did you say? Did you have a pick?
I'm one of the Chris's. Yeah, I just made it.
All right.
I think if I had to pick one, it would probably be that one, which I think is Chris Pine or Chris Hemsworth. I'll go with Chris Hemsworth.
right, so Chris Hemsworth.
But any of the Chris's would have been fine.
Chris Hemsworth, in my mind, is a little too bulky to play James Bond.
I don't know.
Okay.
Did you see
He's
him in
look
that?
in the suit.
Did you
Yeah,
see
All
him
you
in
gotta
that
do
race
is look
car?
in the suit.
Yes, I did.
The race car movie, he was not too big in that one.
If this were 5 or maybe even 10 years ago, I probably would have said that Hugh Jackman was a cinch to play it. But Hugh Jackman.
Can I change my pick?
What?
Oh, Hugh Jackman? No.
I would have
Chris
said.
Elliott.
Shut up. I would
Come
have
on,
said
Chris
that.
Elliott
Can
can
we
pull
have
it
a
off.
freaking serious conversation for 5 seconds?
Not after 9%. Nope.
All right, so
Chris O'Dowd.
I would have said Hugh Jackman, but he's not. They're not going to pick him.
I actually have a serious pick.
Hold on. I'll get to you.
We'll let Jeremy go and then come back to me.
Give me a second.
Chris
I haven't
Tucker.
actually given you my picks yet. I would have said
Definitely Chris
5 years ago Hugh Jackman would have been a cinch, but now, now that the Bond franchise has been really totally reinvigorated, Skyfall was the biggest Bond movie ever, and they're only getting bigger as they go. And Spectre, by all looks of it, is going to be phenomenal. They're going to want to go with, I think personally, someone younger, someone probably in their mid late 20s. I would probably go with one of the two guys, the two brothers from Game of Thrones, maybe
Bring back Chris Farley.
Rob Stark or
Jon Snow.
Yeah, I'll probably go there just because they're hot right now and everyone knows them and it's a good choice. But my personal choice, and this was kind of on the internet a few months ago, and there's a lot of hubbub about it. I actually would love to see Idris Elba do it.
Who?
Idris Elba.
Okay, whoever that is.
You know him as...
Don't know him.
Yeah, you absolutely know who he is. He was Heimdall in the Thor movies. He was Luther on the BBC show. He was on The Office. He's been on tons of stuff. Google him, you know who he is. He's a great, I was going to say African-American actor, but he's not American, African-British actor, who I think has got a great charisma, and I think he would be outstanding with James Bond. There's no law that says James Bond has to be white, and I think he'd be really, really good at it. So that's what I'd like to see.
Okay, I'll buy that.
I'm not even listening to you. Jeremy, who do you think? You said you had to pick.
Yeah, I picked.
Oh, okay. All right, Gary, so what you were going to say. What are you going to say, Gary?
Daniel Radcliffe.
I think actually David Tennant.
You know, David Tennant could
I think
actually
too
work.
I think too quirky.
You've gone the other way though. Instead of too bulky, he's gone too skinny.
I actually think that there's I mean a lot of the old Bonds weren't actually big, super fit.
Chris Klein.
And I think that there's a bit of sophistication you need to play Bond that some of these other guys don't have. And going with someone younger, I don't think they have that maturity and sophistication to really pull off a Bond character. I think you need somebody who is a little bit older and has some credibility when you get into having experience. Somebody in their mid to late 20s probably doesn't have the experience to pull off the things that James Bond pulls off in those movies. And to be able to be as cocky and kind of doing his own thing as Bond needs to be. So that's why I would say David Tennant, because he does have the he's a little bit older, and yeah, he's a little quirky, but he's also very British, and he could pull it off. I think he could do it.
Well, I mean,
I could see that actually.
you would.
I could see that as easily.
You'd be taking Bond. You'd be taking Bond in an entirely new direction.
Harry Potter.
Kind of be taking him back to the Roger Moore type of. But I'm not saying it's bad. Roger Moore was actually my favorite Bond before Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig came along. I liked Roger Moore myself. But he was the more smarmy, the more humor Bond, which these movies have been lacking in humor. So it would definitely be going more towards that. So that might be fun.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good thing. Daniel Craig's awesome. I think he's done an awesome job, but I think they went more for the action hero than they did the smart, intelligent Bond. And I like the smart, intelligent Bond more than I like the action hero.
Chris Teigen.
Okay.
Did you just say Chris Teigen?
I put a link in the chat.
You mean whatchamacallit's wife?
Well, going in a different direction.
That would work.
I would watch that movie. I'm just saying.
Certainly watch that movie.
I would watch that movie.
Jeremy, I had no concept of you having any clue about pop culture, but I guess I was completely wrong.
Yay, Google.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah, another Chris, right? There you go.
We know Johnny Depp could do it, right?
Sure.
Well, not if
Johnny
his name's
Depp
not
is-
Chris. We gotta have a Chris. I've spent the last 20 minutes naming off all the Chris's that could do it.
We've got to have an asshole. Clearly, we've got that. Good job! All right, so now let's move
Actually,
on.
I think Chris Tucker would be the best one.
I don't
Let's
know.
move on to our... Gary's screaming in the chat room to move on. So let's do so with a little segment we like to call our Half Pints.
Oh, you want music, don't you?
Holy crap! Just one! Yeah, one! Not even what does the fox say can bring you on, I think.
You know,
Jesus.
you give me more than 30 seconds notice and I can have this done. I'm too busy looking at Chris.
How much notice do you need?
I'm looking at Chris's still.
Look at
Christmas.
You're
All right, so-
way distracted by that
In our
last.
Half Pint segments, guys, we have some stuff that we think you should take a look at this week, whether it be music, television, books, apps, anything that comes to our little minds, and except for Keats, because he always keeps his till the end. So Jeremy wants to talk about a website where everyone's supposed to keep talking. Jeremy, what is your pick for this week?
My pick for this week is the best game ever. It's called Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. So
what?
everybody knows the
You're not picking Shooty Skies?
Yeah, that's your pick.
What the hell?
Nope, not Shooty Skies, because Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is more awesome than Shooty Skies.
No, it's not.
So everybody's seen the typical TV/movie bomb scene where the bomb technician goes in and there's a bomb and he's on a walkie-talkie and he's talking to the expert and he says, "Okay, I've got 5 wires. There's a green one, there's a red one, there's a white one," and the expert says, "Cut the red wire," right? And he cuts it and the bomb is defused. So this game is that, but it's a game.
Okay.
Wow.
The way it
best
works
description
is
ever.
So the way it works is it's half computer and half paper manual. The person with the bomb is using the computer, and he can see the bomb, and he can rotate it and inspect it and see what it's made out of, and he has to describe that to the expert. The expert has a paper manual, and based on the description, the expert has to go through the manual and figure out what the diffuser has to do to defuse the bomb. So it requires communication and teamwork, and it is so much fun. We played it last night, and it is really cool. It's fun to watch people play, and it's fun to play. It's really a cool game.
We could actually do a show with that game.
We could do a show with
so this is a game where like 2 people have to have electronic devices.
one person
them
has
gets
to
the
have an
picture.
electronic device.
The other one gets the manual.
One person has unfortunately it's Windows only right now, and it's on Steam. So one person has a Windows computer running the game,
Okay.
and the other person has a paper printed manual. And the manual is free to download. You can get it from the website and print it out.
Okay.
It's
All right.
hard.
So this is like a party game.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you go to the website, there's some videos and it shows how it's actually played. It's a little hard to describe, but it's basically the bomb defusal scene from the action movie made into a game. And it is really, really fun.
How would you know? You've never seen a movie with the bomb defusal.
Well, there was a lot
I
of
watched-
bombs
I
in the
watched
black
an
and white
episode.
movies that he watches.
I watched an episode of 24.
One episode.
Okay, well that does give some credibility.
So
the game is $15. The manual you can print out for free, and it is totally worth $15. Even if you play it one night with a group of friends, it is totally worth the money.
Oh, I am
It is
so
really,
doing this at
really
our New
fun.
Year's Eve party.
Yeah, that's great.
This game is awesome.
So apparently, I watched the launch trailer as Jeremy was talking, and it one of the great things I love about a game is replayability, and supposedly this game generates a different bomb every time. So you'll never play the same bomb twice, and the directions, I guess, will be printed out differently every time, or at least there'll be some different options. So
Well, there's a lot of combinations within, like just for example, the module that has wires that you have to cut.
Mhm.
Depending on the number of wires and the colors and the order that they're in, there's a bunch of permutations that the diffuser has to sort through.
Very cool.
There's a lot of
Chris Barnes.
play the game over and over and over, and it'll be different every time.
Right. And supposedly they're making this compatible with the Oculus.
Yes, it'll be on the Oculus
Rift software, so it'll be like a virtual reality thing. You can interact with the bomb
You can
as they're describing it to you.
spin it around and stuff. Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
Definitely, sounds like a fun party game.
Yeah, no, this is totally going to make the rotation for our New Year's Eve party this year.
Yeah,
This looks awesome.
You guys have got to try it. I am confident that you will
Jeremy,
absolutely
if you
love
play this again, what we need from you is video.
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
next time we can't do a show, we're just going to air that.
So let's move on to Mr. Gary's pick, and Gary wants to talk about one of my favorite superheroes that's now a fixation on TV, The Flash.
The Flash. Yeah, I recently picked up Hulu Plus and decided to fork over the
Chris
money to
Kattan.
see. What?
No, sorry.
Jesus, Keith, give it a rest.
And The Flash was on there, and we were kind of looking for stuff to watch. And my youngest daughter, who is, how old is she now? 13. I'm losing track.
She's into teeny bopper chick flick. TV
No,
shows.
she's actually not. She was into The Flash.
Right. Well, yeah.
And her and I have been watching that together, and it's really good. And what I actually like about The Flash is that it's not overly violent. There's so many TV shows that are really good shows, like The Blacklist. I'm losing my mind here. The Blacklist is what comes to mind. But all these shows that have, they're really good stories. They have nice backstory, very intricate plot lines, but they have so much violence in them. And The Flash is a superhero that is doing cool stuff, and he's young, and he's naive, and he does really stupid things, but they don't actually show a lot of like people getting blown up and splattered across rooms and things like that, but they still come up with really compelling storylines. So it's actually really nice to be able to watch a TV show with my 13-year-old daughter and not have to worry about there being these huge gun battles and explosions and, her getting to watch someone's head get blown apart. So it's really good for that kind of stuff. So I would recommend The Flash. It's actually good for younger viewers. It's got a nice cast and good storyline. And if you have Hulu, you can watch the whole first season. I'm sorry, actually, the first season is on Netflix.
Yeah.
And you can watch the current season if you have Hulu. So, yeah.
Yeah, those seasons, they're actually getting faster and faster from when they're getting up on Netflix, so which is great.
Which is funny for the show named The Flash.
Yeah.
So
the third season of Arrow is already up there too, which is another good show.
Yeah, and the Arrow, I
same
started
universe.
watching that. It's they have some crossover with Arrow. Arrow's a little darker and a little creepier.
It is, but so is the Green Arrow, is a darker character.
Yeah, so that's why I would pick the Flash over Arrow, because it's just a little bit better for all audiences.
The great thing is that they share the same universe.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
So,
Anyway,
we'll
The
be
Flash.
talking also, going over to the Marvel side, we'll be talking about Jessica Jones in a couple of weeks, which I can't wait for. All right, so Keith, what is your pick tonight besides somebody named Chris?
Yeah. Well, I have been playing a lot of another video game. This video game is not Hearthstone. But
praise the Lord.
it's made by the same people. And it kind of lives in the same universe. It's called Heroes of the Storm. It is what you would, well, here Blizzard calls it a brawler, but basically it's a MOBA. If you're familiar with that, games like League of Legends that are very popular in esports right now. This would be in that kind of vein. It uses all of the Blizzard characters and art from all their games, including StarCraft and Warcraft and all that stuff. But the thing is, what it is you kind of pick a character you like, and you go out onto the field of battle with maybe 4 other people, and you try to be the better team than them, and take more of the stuff and defeat their, capture their base before they can capture yours. More to simplify it a bit. It's really fun. It's entertaining. You can, and like a lot of Blizzard games, you don't need a super high-end computer to play it well. It plays great on the laptop. In fact, it plays great on my 3-year-old laptop with Intel Graphics 3000. It plays fine on that. So you definitely don't need the latest stuff to play it. And it's free to play. You can put money into it if you want, but you don't have to play it, which seems to be typical now for Blizzard stuff. And I like that. And I haven't put a dime into it yet, and I've been playing it for a few weeks now, and I'm really bad at it. But I'm enjoying it a lot. I enjoy losing games a lot at Heroes of the Storm, and I would recommend it to those of you who do that. Rob, this game is in a Diablo style and would be very much up your alley.
Okay.
You would like this a lot. Very fun game. You kind of get, like I said, you get a character, and the character levels up as you play a given match. So you get more abilities and stuff as you go on, and you have to choose which abilities you want to be able to use and stuff. But there's a lot of strategy involved, a lot of teamwork involved, but it's really kind of fun. Like I said, I'm terrible at it, but I'm really kind of getting the hang of it. It took me about a week to really get into it, but now I think I get it, and I'm really enjoying it. I play Hearthstone when I know I don't have a lot of time to play something, but if I do get a chance to put a half hour into a game or something, I am now playing Heroes of the Storm, and
that's cool.
loving it.
I like that it combines their different universes.
Yeah, it totally does, because you can be a StarCraft player that's super modern, futuristic, while someone else is an axe wielding, berserker. It's fine. You can all be on the same team together, and you will get abilities appropriate to whatever tech or magic you have. And it just creates a kind of a fun universe to play in.
Very cool. Okay, so for my picks for the week, I actually have 2. One is a quick one, because I actually thought that one of the boys was going to pick Shooty Skies this week, but they didn't. So they've been talking about it nonstop. Shooty Skies comes from the makers of Crossy Road. But I've actually been playing a different one from the same creators. I've been playing a lot of Blocky Raider. And
I don't know this Blocky Raider.
Don't know Blocky Raider? Okay.
No, tell me.
Blocky Raider is Crossy Road, but set in a Indiana Jones style tomb that you're trying to escape.
Oh.
With traps and fireballs and monsters and all different kinds of things you have to dodge, pick up treasure, all that great stuff. And I've been enjoying that a lot. It's a lot of fun. Blocky Raider. These guys are just pumping these out, and they've become very popular. But I guess a lot of people hadn't heard of Blocky Raider, so
no, I had not heard of Blocky Raider.
Happy to bring it to you. It's very good. If you like Crossy Road, you'll like Blocky Raider. My second pick, my main pick for the week, is a book that I've just finished, and it's called How Star Wars Conquered the Universe.
Oh, that book is awesome.
And it's a shame that Gary has stepped away, because I know what a big Star Wars fan he is, but it sounds like Keith has actually already read the book.
I wish I had read the book, but I haven't yet.
But you know of it.
I know of it, and it's highly, highly recommended. I've heard several discussions involving it, and it's definitely on my must-read list.
So let me just give you a quick.
Says Chris Butler.
Yes, let me give you a quick rundown of the book. It basically tells 2 different stories. One is in fragments. The author talks about the development and massing together basically of the Lucas Empire through the 6 films and into the 7th coming out in December. Some of it is stuff that you've already heard, and Harrison Ford was a carpenter in the shop, and they asked him to come read for Han Solo with the other actors, and they liked him so much that they picked him up. But a lot of it are things that you may not have heard before, and just how close Lucas was to not only losing his finances and losing his marketability as a director, but also literally losing his mind. It's very, very interesting story.
I think Jar Jar Binks is evidence that he did lose his mind.
Well, Jar Jar Binks is explained a lot in that book. But the other part of the story is basically how Star Wars has transformed our entire culture. And when he put forth that premise in the book, I originally thought to myself, I'll admit that Star Wars has had a big influence on our society and on pop culture and all those kinds of things. But I was not ready for the way that he methodically laid out how so many things in our lives, not just pop culture, but the way we view politics, the way we view families, the way we view pastimes, all of that stuff can be filtered through the Star Wars lens and the impact that it had on our society back in the late 70s and early 80s to what we've got now. You've heard us talk on this show before about inventions that were speculated. It's the Star Trek world and the Star Wars world, and then there's some of that too. But really, he talks about the philosophy of a blockbuster and the philosophy of fandom and all those kinds of things, and it's brought together in a really great way. So it's kind of a mix of the history of Star Wars combined with the phenomenon of Star Wars. And I can't recommend the book highly enough, especially going into Force Awakens in December. It's a great read, and it's really, I have a lot of bad negative things to say about the prequels, but my view now is softened a bit after listening to how he explains the prequels and what was going on behind the scenes and what was desired. And I understand a bit more of who Lucas is, and maybe I don't think he's as bad a person as I thought, or a lot of people do think. It's a really great book, so I can't recommend it, like I said, highly enough. How Star Wars Conquered the Universe.
I just did a search on the San Francisco Library site to see if I could check out a book.
Oh,
so
that's
I searched by Chris Taylor, and
Yeah.
it came up with the best of Asian erotica 2. Is that
Yeah, it's totally the same thing. Get
same
it?
thing? Okay, I'll go ahead and check that
Not the
out.
same guy. Especially for the two California boys living in San Francisco, and Lucasfilm, ILM, Pixar is such a big part of what goes on out in that corner of the world. It'd be a great book for you two guys to pick up.
Gilly used to deliver flowers to ILM.
Yeah. Keith and I have a person that we went to high school with that actually works for ILM.
Who?
Polly Ng.
Really?
Yes, Polly was the chief special effects supervisor, or one of a group of chief special effects supervisors for the Avengers, Age of Ultron, for a couple of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and she's actually leading a team for Force Awakens.
Does she work with Chris Penn at all?
Chris Penn.
I don't know why you're continuing to do that. It's a great bit. 20 minutes ago.
Maybe Christopher Lee.
No, sadly he is no longer with us.
Oh.
Same with Chris Penn, also no longer with us. But maybe from the
Chris's
great
are the best
beyond.
Chris's.
But maybe from the great beyond, Keith, they're lining up to play James Bond in the hereafter. So, well, with that bit of comic genius, we're gonna close out episode 25 of the Pine and No Return show. I'm gonna throw it to the guys for any bits of closing wisdom or thoughts. Guys, what do you have other than more Chris's?
9%.
9%. That's a freaking hero. I love my 9%.
All right, very good. Play us out.
I'll take the strong stout on the stride. I prefer to confer with a half-pint
Crisscross will make you jump, jump. I bet that'll make you jump, jump. Crisscross will make you jump, jump. There.
How about Christopher Lee?
You just said Christopher Lee.
Oh, did I?
Idiot. You also said Chris Kattan 3 times.
Because I like
Probably
Christopher
more than
Lee.
he's been mentioned on a podcast in the last 5 years. Close it out.